Hi everyone.
Wagwan, G.
So we're going to talk about mental health as it is Mental Health Awareness Month. But before I do, I'm going to read a poem to fit the theme of what this event is, how we're talking about. So it's one of my favorite poems. I was introduced to it in high school during Poetry Out Loud, if anyone knows of them. And it's called Hope by Emily Dixon.
Oh my, she's my favorite author.
Hope. Hope is a thing with feathers that patches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the glee is heard, and song must be the storm, and could abash the little birds. In the little birds that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chilliest land and on the strangest sea, and yet in extremity it acts a crumb of me. That's one of my favorite poems. And we're going to begin our presentation. My name is Choma Fatiwe. I'm a therapist in training, so I'm working towards licensure. And I have a brand named Choma Learns that offers different mental health presentations. And we also have a podcast that's coming up in the near future. And so for our presentation today, we're talking about mental health in the context of, our cultural background, as well as taking a step back from traditional therapy, as we know that that's not always accessible.
Yeah.
So, mental health is a significant part of our lives, and it's something that's intertwined in our day-to-day. It shows up in how we think, how we cope, how we relate with others in our work. And oftentimes, a lot of us are taught to be strong, to keep going, to just deal with it. And those are things that can be incredibly difficult if we're struggling with our mental health. And so those messages don't leave room for how we actually feel. And it often means not paying attention to ourselves and dismissing and belittling how we feel and what we need. And for some of us, we may come from communities and or family structures that may have reinforced the dismissal and or the belittling of your wants and your needs as it relates to your mental health. For example, this might look like your basic needs, when it comes to food, clothing, shelter being met, but when it comes to your emotional needs, it being maybe not characterized as others. And so I have some discussion questions. I'm curious, what was it like growing up in the context of your family when it comes to mental health?
Non-existent.
Non-existent?
Wow.
About that? Who else?
Me too. So
Yes, I think that's and can you expand more about non-existent? What did that look like exactly?
Kind of the rough, not talking about situations, kind of like putting everything in the background. You'll be fine. You'll be okay. No.
So having things that, adverse experiences that happened within the home, outside the home, and there was that expectation to kind of like push through it. Just keep going, be strong. It is what it is. Life is hard. Get over it. Sort of
for
reaction.
me, it was like, oh, it's probably somebody is doing it to you via voodoo,
Like in a
or
spiritual way.
it's the it's the one doing something to you.
There's a common joke among the African community about my village people. So when you said that, it just reminded me of that.
Yeah.
Thank you for your participation. So let's define mental health. What exactly is mental health?
Yeah.
Mental health is a state of well-being in which an individual realizes their abilities, can cope with normal stressors of life. No, I didn't say to not have the absence of stressors. Stress is normal, stress is healthy. It's a normal part of our humanity as human beings and the reality of what it means to be human. At the same time, can you cope with your normal stressors? That can be a good indicator of good mental health. Can you work productively? And are you able to contribute to the community at large? And what does a good mental health look like? As I mentioned, can you handle stress? Can you express your emotions? So a lot of us were oftentimes not taught and or given the language to express our emotions in a healthy and in a productive manner. And can you have a sense of purpose? Remember the poem I just read, it's titled Hope. A sense of purpose is something that is really, really important and something that I'm very passionate about cultivating in my work as a therapist. It's important to have something that gives you meaning, something that gives you hope, something that you're working towards. It can be something, and it doesn't have to look like the traditional, like overly ambitious. It can look like wanting a life of ease, a life of slowing down, and also the reality of us living in a capitalist society, and sometimes that's not always possible if you need to, for example, work multiple jobs to kind of keep the bills coming.
Yeah.
And so these are all important. These are all important things to consider and to think about, which I think we already think about because it's in our lives, so we kind of have no option but to face it for what it is. And also, a really important one is your ability to maintain and sustain relationships with yourself as well as with other people. But a lot of people, when they're struggling with their mental health, they can feel a lot of isolation. So, for example, that can be a concern if you notice yourself isolated, and or if you notice a loved one who is very out and about, and now they're spending a lot of time by themselves, in their rooms, not being as social and or as energized. And I'm curious, what does a good mental health look like for you individually? How do you know, and I didn't say perfect mental health, but what is like a good, I'm doing okay, I'm trying my best, life is good for the most part, as opposed to life is life. What does that look like?
Going to work every day and paying my bills on time, and
Yes, 100%. So being able to function in the way that is important to you, being able to attend to your responsibilities, whereas maybe when you're not able to do those things, that can be an indicator that something is off. Things are not quite flowing the ways that they need to.
yeah, like I cannot let anybody see that I'm struggling. I gotta go to work and be on time for my bills and pay my rent and all that stuff. If I can keep that persona, then my mental health is good. Yeah.
I would say challenge that a bit in terms of the persona, and I think that's a persona that a lot of us have as Black women, you know, people of color in general. This idea of I have to be strong, I have to keep pushing, no one can see me struggle, no one can see me crumble or be weak. And sometimes, unfortunately, due to the cards that we're dealt as individuals on a systematic level, there oftentimes is that pressure and that expectation, and sometimes we're not given that space to have a soft landing.
Right.
And so it does lead to that. At the same time, it can also have implications on our well-being. Something that I like to talk about very often, especially with women of color, Black women, which are the majority of the people I see in my work, is autoimmune disorders. That's something that's really, really important, because when we suppress how we feel, when we suppress our needs, our wants, our human desires, and we put on that persona of I got it, I can do it, I can keep pushing, which is tricky, right? Because oftentimes we have no option but to put up that persona as a way to survive. At the same time, it can literally kill us. It can literally lead to our mental health and our physical health as well being implicated in very significant ways. So I'm an advocate for expressing your anger. I want to emphasize that. Around the space is predominantly Black women, and I do want to emphasize that because oftentimes we're not given the space to be angry. And anger is a really important emotion to feel. Anger is that emotion that we feel that allows us to advocate for ourselves. And oftentimes the world doesn't always advocate for us, so it's important that we're able to advocate for ourselves. And to express how you feel and what you think in a healthy way, in a kind and a healthy way, but to know that I see the facial expression.
But you know, even if you do advocate for yourself in a healthy way, you're still gonna be viewed as the angry Black woman.
100%. 100%. I was going to say that, like, you can say things in the most constructive, la 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 way, and it still could be perceived more oftentimes than not as you being abrasive. And I think that's when that finding peace within yourself, at least I know I can leave this conversation and or this interaction feeling proud of how I express myself, and then that becomes the priority as opposed to did that person hold space, did that person validate what I have to say. So we're going to continue. So what is mental illness? So mental disorders are conditions characterized by significant disturbances in our thinking, in our emotional regulation, our behavior, and these are often associated with distress. And so that looks like, for example, if you typically are able to go to work, not being able to go to work, and it just feels a lot difficult to kind of push through your normal day to day. So when you feel like there's impairments in multiple and or one area of your life. So this can look like maybe your relationships, your friendships, your family relationships, you're not able to show up in the way that you typically value, in a way that's important to you because you're feeling deep distress. And it's important to hold space for these emotions and these feelings. It's extremely, extremely important to express it because again, if we don't express it, it can lead to autoimmune conditions.
I was gonna say that it's been a lot of black women having autoimmune diseases because of that.
Yes, yes. It kind of reminds me of the question of is the goal to be liked or is the goal to be respected? And sometimes, unfortunately, especially within the black community, we tend to be quite collectivist and there can be a lot of emphasis on the community and making sure the community is good, and sometimes that can lead to the detriment of ourselves. And while it's important to pour into the community, foundationally you need to be good as an individual to then be able to continue to pour into the community in a way that's sustainable. So sometimes it is important to be selfish. I kind of encourage selfishness for black women. I think it's something that's really important because oftentimes, most times it's not really you being selfish per se, because most times you're still pouring into the community, but you're also recognizing that you're a human being with wants and needs, and it's important for you to pour into yourself intentionally. So,
Especially as black women,
yes.
we have to be a little selfish and be like, okay, today it's only me. I'm gonna be self-care day. I'm gonna get my nails done, my hair done,
Yes.
and be selfish a little. So,
Yes.
what? Clock it.
Yes, I really do advocate for selfishness as a black woman. Again, it's important to protect yourself, to protect your well-being, because the world doesn't always offer that to us. And so it's important to kind of take it by the hand in order to make sure that you're good. So let's talk about some common types of mental health disorders. So a really, really common one is anxiety. And this can look like this can look like worrying, fear, overthinking about things that maybe are out of your control and or within your control. So that can like ruminating about the same thing over and over and over again. And some diagnoses can look like generalized anxiety disorder, so like consistent worry about multiple things, just constant worry about multiple aspects of your life. Another one is mood disorders. This is when we think about depression. So that can look like low mood, low energy, your motivation is kind of low, the things that really empowered you. And now you're noticing that the things that brought you pleasure, the things that was like, you know what, I'm all about so and so part of my identity, but now you're not doing those things that you typically would have done. Again, back to that idea of like isolating and not shining in your brightest light.
Yeah.
There's also trauma-related disorders, so that can look like when you experience something that's really stressful. So this can look like childhood trauma. It can look like a car accident, like PTSD, and so that can look like maybe avoiding certain places and or certain things and or certain activities or people to kind of cope with not wanting anything that reminds you of said incident. We also have psychotic disorders, which I'm not going to get into. So that essentially looks like having difficulty differentiating between what's real and what's not real. And that looks like delusions, schizophrenia, etc. And very lastly, we have personality-related disorders, which impacts like how you feel and your behavior towards others. So how does this affect us? thinking about it from an individual level, this can look like burnout, feeling overwhelmed, low motivation around the things that typically bring you joy and fulfillment.
Yeah.
Within the family, there's often expectations. Everyone takes a role typically within the family. The oldest sibling can be like the strong one or the fixer. The last child and or the middle child can be seen as like the quiet one or the more reserved one. And so sometimes people can play that role of I'm the so-and-so person in the family, so I'm supposed to behave as so-and-so. There's almost like a script that you're supposed to follow. And that can be something that can be really impairing, especially, for example, if the quiet one wants to speak up. It might be seen as going against the family norms to kind of advocate for yourself or to kind of speak out on parts of the family system that might be not working and or harmful. And we also have the community and the larger society. We're not living in a bubble, right? There's multiple layers here. And for a lot of our communities, there can be a lot of stigma, just in the larger society as a whole. I think mental health is becoming less stigmatized lately.
Yeah.
However, say like a decade ago, that was not the norm. There was a lot of stigma, and that stigma leads to misinformation, it leads to people being silent, it leads to...
It's like amazing drip right now. I'm loving it.
The back is active. Is it the same?
No, it's different.
Um,
But tell them how good yours was, though. I think it's good too.
And oftentimes the reality is that systems are not created equal for everyone. And so some people's needs might be met. For example, when it comes to therapy, the reality is like a lot of the research when it comes to like therapeutic interventions that even I use and the clinicians use in our work is not always culturally informed, meaning the people in which these interventions were studied on were not exactly people of color and or black people in mind and or black or brown people, and so that does impact how things play out as well. At the same time, it doesn't mean that therapy is not for you.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's a matter of fit. So I go to therapy myself, and I've had therapists that were wonderful. The math was mathing, the calculations calculated in all the ways it needed to. And then I've also had therapists that it was like, it's giving no. It's giving no. And so it's okay to have those experiences and to realize that this is not a good fit. But I would say if you do decide to go to therapy, to kind of give it a chance. Because sometimes it can be awkward in the first few sessions, and that's okay too, because you're pouring your heart to this person that you've never met before. Things are going to be awkward, and that's okay. That's just the reality of our humanity as human beings. To give it some time, and if the matches do not match, then to advocate for yourself and to switch to someone whose values may align more with yours. And then let's talk about some of the barriers. As we all know, not every one of us have insurance, and insurance is oftentimes how a good chunk of therapy is paid for. So if a person doesn't have insurance and we cannot afford to pay the co-pays, that's a significant cost. There's also long wait lists as well. You may have a clinician that maybe is not culturally aware of your background and your life experiences and how that plays a role in the session. And oftentimes, as we can all imagine, the people who are most affected by this disparity are low income, people of color, people, first generation, people who don't have health insurance, people who are in constant stress environments. And I'm curious, what do you think stops people from getting mental health support?
The stigma,
The stigma?
number one. And
The stress, the mental community. The stress in medical community.
Okay,
And-
can you speak more on that?
In terms of the screening experiments, in terms of like black people not being able to trust the medical institution because we had our best interest. So I think a lot of our people just feel like, I don't trust you guys here, I'm not going to trust you in my mental health.
Understandable, 100%, and that's very valid because it would be untruthful to not, say that, take them for what they are, which is the medical history in America, even as well as the psychiatric mental health aspect, does not have a good track record at all when it comes to catering to our well-being as people of color, and that has implications in terms of not trusting the system. And even to this day, right, there's still like questionable things that are happening not just past but also present, and those are valid reasons when it comes to the hesitation towards therapy. And I think it's important for more people of color to be in this field based on that shared life experiences. Though statistically speaking, when it comes to therapy, the person having, for example, a white clinician can just be as effective. Can just be as effective as having like a clinician of color, statistically speaking. However, it also feels good to speak to someone who you're like, girl, like I see you, sort of thing. I know that's something that I value as well. The clinicians that I work with. So let's talk about some practical ways to cope. So, for example, therapy is a bit expensive. Right now, it's not a good fit. So this can look like checking your thoughts, so kind of questioning how you feel, because we think it doesn't mean that it's true. So asking yourself the question of like, is this 100% true? Or again, to not dismiss how you feel, to never ever dismiss how you feel and belittle how you feel. That's something that I really want to emphasize, especially as Black women, as women and people of color, is there can be a little dismissal about our reality and our experiences. And so if the world is going to question you, it's important that yes, you do hold yourself accountable in whatever context, but that you give yourself permission to feel what you're genuinely feeling and what you're genuinely thinking, and to not be another person that's dismissing your reality. I think that's something that's extremely important. At the same time, not every single one of our thoughts are true. So also questioning, is this 100% true? Is there a more balanced way to see so and so? And this can look like something happens and you say to yourself, I always fail. Is that 100% true that you do in fact always fail? Because oftentimes we use words such as always or never, and those are extreme. Exactly.
Yeah.
Can you say that a bit louder?
I said I don't like absolutes. Those are
Yes.
absolutes.
Yes. Questioning yourself, am I speaking in absolutes right now, and what are the implications of that? For me, so that a reframe can look like, this didn't go the way I wanted, I feel sad, or I feel anxious, and I can try again tomorrow.
Right.
Tomorrow is a new day.
Yes, yes.
And another important thing is to let yourself feel the way you feel without fighting it. There's this quote that I heard a while back that really stuck with me, which is oftentimes we're trying to feel better when we actually need to get better at feeling.
Ooh,
That one.
that was a bar.
Yeah.
You should have too. Whoever said it, but it was a quote. It was me. So oftentimes, again, we're trying to feel better, which is understandable. Who wants to feel sad? Who wants to feel anxious? Who wants to feel upset? It's understandable to want to skip through the emotions. However, that often leads to more implications. So that can then lead to maybe engaging in substance use as a way to cope with the distress that you have, or engaging in different unhealthy behaviors, etc., as a way to cope with the experiences that you're having. It's okay to feel the way you feel, and sometimes it is what it is when it comes to coping in certain ways. However, if that's a pattern, then that's something worth questioning and reflecting on. Is this way of coping doing more harm, or is it doing more good? And so when it comes to not fighting your emotions, it looks like not ignoring how you feel, or not having that push to try to fix it or make the feelings go away in the blink of a finger. So oftentimes when we're trying to make those feelings go away, in a extreme sort of way, we can then engage in those unhealthy coping strategies that we know at the back of our minds is maybe not the best idea. And to say to yourself, to name the emotions, I feel sad right now, and that's okay. It's okay to feel sad. It's normal to feel sad.
I used to say, I feel sad and I don't like these feelings.
I feel sad and I don't like this feeling.
And then I would think of something to deflect it. It could be like, I'm gonna do brisk walk around the block, or I would take my cue stick and I would go to the pool and shoot pool until I'm okay. Or sometimes I do roller skate or skateboarding. I just do things. I don't sit on it. I don't entertain depression. I don't entertain sadness. But I feel them. I acknowledge them. But then I do something about it.
That's a wonderful mix. So you feel, you give yourself permission to feel how
Yeah.
you're feeling. At the same time, I'm hearing an element of I don't sit in it forever.
Yeah.
It's like I feel it, but I also know that I need to maybe do something.
Also, I said, this too shall pass.
Yeah, that's one of my
It's
favorite.
the-
Yes.
my favorite. Whenever
That's
I
one
feel,
of my favorite phrases. This too shall pass. Because
Yeah.
we've watched ourselves go through different hurdles, different struggles, and we wouldn't be here if we've not had many, adversity along the way. At the same time, it's important not to dismiss the reality of what you're feeling, and if you do feel sad, that's okay. It's human. It's as human to feel sad as it is as human to feel happy or excited. And emotions come in waves. Right now you might be feeling a sense of content, a sense of peace. You might go home, you might feel relaxed because you get to sleep. The next day, if you have work day on Monday, if it's a stressful job, you might feel other emotions, etc. It's okay to feel this variety of emotions. And another thing is to notice your patterns. So how do you usually react when you're stressed? Do you avoid it? Do you overfunction, which I strongly discourage, and I think a lot of women, especially a lot of Black women, we can tend to engage in that overfunctioning, hence why I think a bit of selfishness is a good idea. And also, it also leads to less resentment as well when it comes to, again, coming from a more collectivist culture. It's really, really
I
important.
pray.
Say that?
Sorry to cut you off. I pray.
Yes.
Pray,
I
yeah.
pray as well, and it's something that helps me believe in a higher
Yeah.
power.
Yeah.
And gives me a sense of ease of like you're not alone in what you're going through.
Right.
A higher power has got you. It's like,
Right.
okay, take the wheel, Jesus. Take the wheel. And another thing that I want to say is to do like small little things. So this can look like writing down your thoughts, how you feel, journaling. It's important to get how you feel out. So I'm hearing an element of some people like taking a walk. In some ways, you're physically getting how you feel out of you. That's something that's really important. Journaling can be another one. Saying how you feel out loud. Taking breaks. Breaks are something that's really important.
Yeah.
I have here taking breaks without guilt. But sometimes you might feel guilty being a bit selfish. You might feel guilty taking a break, but it's still important to take it, to hold space where I don't feel so good right now. I feel guilty, and I'm also going to do this thing that I need to do for myself as well. And another one can be to set a boundary. Boundaries are something that's really important. So I want everyone to kind of reflect on, as when we wrap up the presentation, of like what are some boundaries that you can set with yourself and or with other people in other spaces. And the goal isn't for things to change dramatically. The goal isn't to go from a 0 to a 10 when it comes to your stress and like managing your stress, but rather to try little things here and there. And I also have some free support. we're going to discuss in terms of emails. I can send a presentation that way everyone can see it, but also feel free to take a picture. So we have the suicide hotline, which is open 24/7 that you can call if you're in a crisis. We also have the New York City WELL support, which you can text them as well as give them a call if you're in distress as well. And we also have other organizations such as the National Alliance on Mental Illness and the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. But again, we're going to send it through email, the presentation, but also feel free to take a picture. And then we're going to do a really quick activity before we wrap things up here. So I have some reflection questions. One of the questions is, what is one thing you were taught about emotions that you are now questioning?
You need to really sound about how you feel.
Sit at the guy.
The main side.
We make sounding of our thoughts. Like we're taught to not express how we feel, especially our young boys, not to cry, not to say how we feel, or do things. Like as an adult now, I realize that's also a shit. Like we need to teach our young children, us, little adults, expressing how we feel is a part of mental health and helping them with responsibility. So like that's something I realize now that should not be taught as we do.
What could have hold on back.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's beautiful what you're saying. Can you say it in the mic?
Oh,
So
sure.
it's gonna be clear. I would, yeah, because people can help people.
Oh, yeah.
No, what I was saying is that, what I was saying is that growing up, we're taught to not talk about our emotions, not to express our emotions, especially for our young men. We teach them that boys are not supposed to cry when they grow up,
Right.
suppressing
Yeah.
all these emotions. And not even that like boys, but also like us women. So, as I get older, I realize now it's healthy to express yourself. It's
Right.
healthy to express your emotions. And people who cannot handle the expression of the emotions do not to be in life. Because we have to understand that as we get older, we cannot be 16 and 20 years old in our
Right.
mentality. We have to be able to grow. Learn. I mean, in this life, it's all about a learning curve, right? So we have to be able to grow that in our financial, in our career, but also in our mental health. So thank you so much for having us tonight.
Thank you.
I want to
Okay, sis.
I love this. This is part of the express yourself.
Yeah.
So to
piggyback.
of what she said, you brought up the young boys, right? And not they are taught to don't cry and stuff like that. That comes from the mothers, right? When they're pregnant and they have all these emotions, they have to express, they have to nurse the baby from like birth to 6. I am someone who suffered from postpartum depression. If I didn't get treatment,
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Pocket.
With you, yeah.
if I didn't get help from a professional and go through treatment, even though my family were against it because they're Haitian, they're like, you don't need it. But because I went through that treatment and took care of myself, now that I can see the progress in my son, because he's 6, he's able to cry on his own, express his emotion, and I'm able to be there.
And not
And
shame about it.
right. And I'm there to support him, which is bringing all of this back to the Haitian community. You know what's going on right now with the gangs and stuff, and it's mostly men. This is where the change starts with pregnant mothers, teaching them how to get the help when you need it. So you're able to nurture that young boy who's gonna grow into a young man and later on be a father.
Yeah.
And it ties into the whole community. So,
And it's our jobs to make sure our young men are growing into the men they need to be.
right, it's our jobs to make sure that our black mothers are okay, so we have healthy young men in our community. Healthy young black man.
Yeah.
I
Yes, yes.
I do
It's
too.
healthy.
I love that. My name is Healthy. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, Miss Annalie. So, for me, that's the saying, like, don't say bad. Don't say things that can hurt others' feelings. For me, it doesn't. Sorry. Hello.
The mic is being mean to you.
Yes, because it keeps dropping, so we actually need donations so we can buy a new mic. So before, like my mom used to tell me, like, don't say things that can hurt other people's feelings.
Right.
But lately I was able to express myself, and actually one of my fellow pool players called me Anna the Truth. Because
Yeah.
I would express. But the thing is, like, I always see with my own eyes where someone I know talking something, like they notice something about someone,
Yeah.
they couldn't say it because they're afraid that they might hurt their
Right.
feelings. So I've been experiencing that for so long that I couldn't take it anymore. You have to tell so that they're
Part of
gonna,
self-expression, being able
yeah,
to say.
they're gonna know it, and they can change themselves or something, or they're gonna know that their behavior is not really helping others. So speak up, and then actually I ended up speaking up.
Yeah.
So, but it's not about gossiping or things.
Right.
No, because like I said, because for me, I take criticism constructively,
Mm-hmm.
and truth can be so hurtful, but it can make you grow.
It takes courage to tell the truth too.
Yeah, it can make us grow. Like some people they say, mind your own business. But my late grandfather said, it's our own business to say things when we say that we must say something. So I live with that. You know, I forgot those already, like what my mom or other used to say, like don't say things that might hurt other people's feelings. What if that things that you must say can help them, you know, so speak up.
Yeah.
So that's the thing now I changed. When I was young, don't say the words. Now,
Self-expression.
change now. I change it now. Speak up, share.
Let it out.
That's it.
I'm gonna say one more thing, but in Haitian Creole, to my Haitian community. Okay.
I'm gonna say one last thing. So part of healing and having this spiritual healing and mental health healing is self-expression, right? So right now we know there is a lot of turmoil going on in Haiti. So I would say to our young Haitian boys and girls watching us, the cure to a better Haiti is self-expression, is doing the arts, whether it is painting, whether it is writing, whatever you do to express your personality. That's where the healings come from. It's not gonna come from Donald Trump.
That's why we have power up open mic.
It's not gonna come from the UN. It's from within you. So the power of healing is from self-expression. So I'm gonna translate it. Tout moun yo ka vive en Haïti. Changer Haïti, c'est pas sorti dans Donald Trump. C'est pas vraiment comme côté changement pour Haïti. Changement dans Haïti sorti dans nous-mêmes. Dans gens nous exprimer tête nous. Si on petit, on remet faire plaisir, on remet écrit. Je parle ça c'est là changement dans Haïti a sorti. Changement sorti dans Haïti dans cœur. C'est pas un monde qui peut-être tout. Changement c'est dans nous-mêmes lié. OK? Merci.
I loved all of those responses. Thank you all for sharing your authenticity, expressing yourself. This is like part of the healing, because healing doesn't just happen. It's important to do the work individually, but also have a community, having support is a significant part of that too. And there's so many good points mentioned. And I want to come back to what you mentioned when it comes to motherhood, and data also supports that as well.
Right.
Of the most significant factor that determines like a child's well-being is the mother's well-being. So the better off the mother is when it comes to the mother's happiness, the more that translates to the child, as mothers are oftentimes the primary caregivers of children. And so many good points when it comes to self-expression and creativity and art, and those are really, really important things. And those are things that we do as children, right? We do a lot of art, a lot of creativity, play, and then as the older we get, responsibilities does what responsibility does, and we don't really have as much room to express ourselves, to play, to be creative, to color. And so I think this space is also a really important space for us to kind of connect with our creativity. Like read a poem. I've not read a poem out loud in a minute now, so it was kind of nice to reflect on what my favorite poem is and to share that with other people. And so I do think that art is a really, really important part of our well-being in our world, and sharing that art in community.
Yeah.
And I have another question. What is
Okay, we're gonna keep it
You
there
got me
because
to the mic now
it's
too?
very important. So it's very important. So I wanna do it here.
That's fine. One of the last questions is, what is one small thing that you can do for yourself this week? We're not thinking change our lives by tomorrow. We're just thinking, what is one small thing? Sleep. Yes. 100%.
Enough sleep.
I have twins, so.
Oh,
Wow,
wow,
well,
bless
girl.
her.
You want me to refill your cup?
Yes.
Is it twin girls, boys, or mixed?
Oh my God.
You want a double, don't you?
No, I have any more.
Take another drink.
Because God knew, like, she's not doing this again, so we're gonna get from one.
Very
nice.
And I'm not. So I got 90 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So your body tells you, you know what, you need to sleep. So you know what, because you don't want to take that nap, you're going to get that nap.
You've been all
Like sleep.
quiet.
To me, so this week, sleep. After tonight, sleep. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I'm an advocate for sleep. I think sometimes going to the basics of sleeping and exercising, and exercising doesn't have to look like getting a gym membership. Like, especially now that summer, shout out to summer. Summer is about to be here. Like taking a bit more walks around yourself, and if your neighborhood isn't the safest, sometimes this can look like, for example, if you're going to work, maybe taking a walk before you leave, after you leave your office, before you go home. You know, when you meet up with a friend, for example, walking around the city in said area that you met up with said friend before going back home. So it just looks like movement. Movement is really, really important. Any other ideas around?
He's been there quiet all along. A black man sitting over there, black man. We need to know your opinion.
Yes, clap for the black king. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ajay!
I wasn't quiet. I performed earlier.
What are you gonna do this week for yourself?
Oh, for myself,
Yeah.
I am probably going to take a day off from work.
Okay. You know what?
We're doing for ourselves.
I like it. What are you gonna do?
Spend time with my lady.
Valentine's, beautiful thing.
I'm hearing play. I'm hearing taking some time off of work. I'm hearing spending some quality, meaningful time with your partner. These are all wonderful, wonderful suggestions.
So cute.
And also, taking off some of the things out of your plate. When the plate is too much, when you know, you must recognize when you're doing a lot in your body.
Wait, say that again.
When you're doing too much,
Taking off
you have
the load.
taking off. Yeah, that's it. That's the word. Taking off some load. You know,
Yeah,
Maybe
so
just put the
kind
load
of
down.
slow down. Yeah.
Yes, to slow down. That's really, really, really important. And sometimes this can look like taking a moment for yourself. It can look like 5 minutes. So if you have a 30 minutes lunch time, taking 5 minutes and saying, you know what, I'm not going to be on my phone, I'm not going to scroll, I'm just going to spend 5 minutes in silence or 5 minutes listening to like your favorite song intentionally. And you can also follow me on Instagram at Charma Learning. Thank you for your time. I can also move my laptop around so you can take a picture of the resources.
Thank you so much. Thank you.